Listen carefully, because if you miss the next few seconds, you'll miss the one line that can change every interaction you'll ever have with a woman. A line so simple, yet so psychologically powerful, that when you say it with the right energy, a woman will feel something she can't explain, a pull toward you that bypasses logic and hits her emotions directly. Most men never learn this, and the ones who do, they never struggle for attention, attraction, or connection again. And the reason is simple. Women respond to the feeling beneath your words more than the words themselves. If you understand that, you already hold an advantage. But before you learn what to say, you need to understand something women will never verbally admit. Every woman, no matter how confident, how independent, how put together she seems, is secretly evaluating one question the moment she interacts with a man. Do I feel safe opening myself around him? Not just physically safe, emotionally safe, psychologically safe, energetically safe. Most men think attraction is built through compliments, charm, looks, or money. But real attraction, the kind that makes a woman lean in, soften around you, and become magnetically drawn to your presence, starts with emotional grounding. Your grounding, your calm, your unshakable center. Because when a woman senses that center in a man, her nervous system shifts. She relaxes. She becomes receptive. She stops analyzing. This is why the line I'm about to give you works so insanely well. Not because of the words, but because of the masculine energy it forces you to embody when you say it. This line communicates confidence, boundaries, honesty, and emotional self-control all at once. And most men never say anything even close to it. Here it is. I like your energy, but I'm not in a rush. Let's just enjoy the moment. Read it again slowly. This line does something devastatingly attractive inside a woman's mind. First, it tells her you're not desperate. You're not chasing her. You're not trying to impress her. You're not stressing over her reaction. You're showing interest, yes, but you're not giving away your power. Women are naturally drawn to men who move like they have options, who carry themselves like they choose, not chase. Second, the line grounds her emotionally. Women are used to men rushing, pushing, trying too hard, or performing. When you tell her you're not in a rush, she feels something rare, relief. Relief that she doesn't have to prove anything. Relief that the interaction can breathe. Relief that you're not attached to an outcome. And that relief turns into attraction faster than you'd ever imagine. Third, you subtly flip the power dynamic. Instead of seeking her approval, you place the focus on the shared moment, something women crave more than anything: presence, attention, emotional clarity. When you combine those three, she feels magnetically drawn to you without understanding why. And finally, this line works because it triggers curiosity. She starts wondering, why isn't he rushing? Is he this confident with everyone? What's different about him? And curiosity is the root of romantic fascination. It makes her think about you when you're not around. It makes her replay the conversation. It makes her want more. Say that line with calm confidence, steady eye contact, and a relaxed smile, and you'll see how quickly the energy shifts. You'll feel her soften. You'll feel her lean in. You'll feel her attraction grow in real time. Now that you know the line, you need to understand why it works on a psychological level, because attraction isn't random. Women aren't unpredictable. They're responsive. They respond to the energy a man carries, to what he signals without even noticing. Most men fail not because they're unattractive, but because they communicate the wrong things without ever opening their mouth. Their body language, their tone, their pacing, their insecurity, it all leaks through. And women, whether they admit it or not, are masters at reading those signals. Let me tell you what happens inside a woman the second you say, I like your energy, but I'm not in a rush. At first, she feels a sense of emotional curiosity. You've just given her a compliment, but not one based on looks, not something cheap or predictable. You complimented her energy, something she takes pride in but rarely hears acknowledged. Women are emotional creatures, but what most men don't realize is that women are deeply spiritual about connection. They feel the energy of a person before they analyze their logic, income, or goals. When you notice her energy instead of her beauty, you instantly place yourself in a category above the average man. But it's the second half of the line that changes everything. I'm not in a rush. That statement hits a woman in a place she doesn't consciously understand. It signals that your masculine frame is intact. You're not driven by urgency. You're not emotionally chaotic. You're not clinging to the moment afraid to lose it. And here's the truth nobody tells men. A woman can only relax into her feminine energy when she feels the man has control over his own emotions. Not dominance over her, but mastery over himself. When a woman meets a man who is calm, grounded, and slow-moving, her nervous system softens, her guard lowers, her mind becomes quieter. She stops overthinking. And this is where real attraction happens, not in her conscious mind, but in her body's response to your presence. Most men rush because they fear losing the opportunity, but when you don't rush, she starts fearing the loss. That's the inversion of power every man wants, but few ever create. Think about it. Women are constantly approached by men whose energy screams, "Please like me, please choose me, please validate me." It gets exhausting, it drains them, it cheapens the interaction. But when your energy says, "I'm here, I'm enjoying this, and I'm not chasing an outcome," you stand out instantly. You become the safe space, you become the calm in the storm. And women fall for the calm far faster than they fall for the loud, the flashy, or the overly charming. And something even deeper happens. She starts to mirror your emotional pace. Humans naturally imitate the emotional state of whoever they perceive as the leader in the moment. When you slow down, she slows down. When your tone softens, hers softens. When you're relaxed, she unconsciously relaxes. This is how intimacy forms, through rhythm, not words. So yes, the line is powerful, but the man behind the line is what truly makes it work. Because what you're really saying is, "I'm present, I'm grounded, and I'm not afraid to let things unfold." And that is the emotional code women respond to on an instinctive level, the code that separates the forgettable from the unforgettable. There's something you need to understand about women that most men never figure out, and it's the reason this line works almost every time. Women aren't attracted to unpredictability. They're attracted to emotional contrast, that subtle shift between tension and comfort, mystery and clarity, confidence and softness. When you tell a woman, "I like your energy, but I'm not in a rush," you create that contrast instantly. You give her warmth with the first half, and then you pull back just enough in the second. And it's that blend, that balance, that activates her attraction, because she feels both seen and challenged at the same time. Most men come across as either too soft or too hard, too eager or too distant, too validating or too unavailable. Women don't fall for extremes. They fall for the man who knows how to hold both energies at once without losing himself. And that's what this line signals: controlled interest. You're not withholding affection, but you're also not giving it away cheaply. You're not chasing her approval, but you're also not playing avoidant games. You're standing in the middle, confident, calm, collected, and that's exactly where masculine power lives. But here's the deeper part men ignore. Women are wired to test for this, not intentionally, not maliciously, instinctually. A woman will push, pull, question, tease, and observe, not to manipulate you, but to see whether you actually believe in yourself or whether you crumble the moment she applies pressure. Every woman does this, even the kindest ones, because it's how they differentiate the emotionally stable man from the reactive one. So when you say this line, you're not just communicating confidence, you're demonstrating that her energy doesn't shake your center, and that is rare. A woman can meet dozens of men who compliment her looks, but only a few who can stay grounded around her. She can meet men who want her, but hardly any who make her feel free to open up without pressure. She can meet men who show interest, but almost none who show standards. And standards, quiet, unspoken standards, are what women crave more than attention, more than praise, more than charm. Because standards make a woman feel chosen for the right reasons. When you tell her you're not in a rush, what she hears deep down is, "I'm not trying to rush this because I value myself and I value the moment." And suddenly, she starts valuing you more. Not because you played a game, not because you tried to be mysterious, but because you projected emotional stability, the foundation of masculine attraction. Think about how powerful that is. Instead of proving yourself to her, she starts proving herself to you. Instead of wondering whether she should give you her time, she starts wondering whether she deserves yours. And this shift happens quietly, beneath the surface, because you communicated something essential with just a few words. You have control over your emotional world. You're not a slave to your impulses. You're not moved by scarcity. You're choosing her from abundance, not from desperation. And that's when her attraction becomes instinctive. She won't even know why she suddenly wants to be closer to you, why the conversation feels different, why her guard drops. But you will know, because you created that space intentionally with the confidence of a man who doesn't need to rush anything, not validation, not attention, not connection. There's a moment every man has experienced, but very few ever understand, that sudden shift when a woman goes from friendly and open to distant, guarded, or uninterested. Most men panic when this happens. They try harder. They talk more. They double down on validation, compliments, jokes, anything to bring the moment back. But what they don't realize is this. Her shift wasn't caused by what you said, but what your energy signaled. Women don't disconnect because they lose interest. They disconnect because they lose trust in your emotional strength. And this is why the line, "I like your energy, but I'm not in a rush," isn't just attractive, it's protective. It prevents that disconnect from happening in the first place. Because when she senses you're not rushing, she doesn't feel responsible for your emotions. She doesn't feel pressured to keep you entertained. She doesn't feel like you're attaching too fast. And the moment a woman senses emotional pressure, even slightly, her instincts pull her away. Not logically, instinctively. It's a survival mechanism. But when you deliver that line with calm presence, her instincts relax. She feels that you aren't placing your self-worth in her hands. And that's when she starts showing parts of herself she keeps hidden from most men. She becomes more playful, more feminine, more open, more curious, not because you impressed her, but because you created a pocket of safety around your presence. Safety doesn't come from being nice. It comes from being emotionally self-contained. And here's where most men fail. They think attraction is built by giving women more. More attention, more effort, more validation. But women don't fall for the man who gives her everything. They fall for the man who gives her exactly enough and keeps the rest within himself. It's not scarcity, it's sovereignty. Women are drawn to men who can be fully present without being fully exposed. And that line, spoken with confidence, tells her exactly that. But let me take you deeper. Women fall for men who control the pace of the interaction, not because they want to be controlled, but because a man who controls the pace controls the emotional tone. He becomes the anchor, the center, the stable point. Everything else orients around. When you slow the moment, she feels safe. When you stay calm, she feels seen. When you're intentional with your words, she becomes intentional with her attention. This is why the strongest attraction isn't created through tension. It's created through rhythm, the rhythm between your interest and your restraint, your presence and your boundaries, your softness and your strength. Women crave this balancing energy because it helps them access their feminine side without fear. And when a woman can be feminine around you, attraction becomes natural, not forced, not performed, not strategic. Natural. And here's the beautiful part. When a woman feels this, she starts putting in effort without even realizing it. She leans closer, her voice softens, she asks more questions, she tries to impress you subtly. She matches your emotional pace, And she does all of this because you've given her something she rarely feels in modern dating: the freedom to desire you at her own pace, rather than defend herself from your urgency. Remember this: the man who controls the pace controls the connection. And the man who controls the connection never has to chase. So now you understand why this one line is so powerful, but before you walk away with it, you need to understand something even more important. The words alone don't create attraction. You do. The man behind the line, the energy behind the delivery, the mindset behind the moment. A woman can feel insincerity instantly, not because she's psychic, but because female intuition is wired for emotional survival. She reads tone, micro-expressions, pacing, body language, hesitation, tension. She feels the truth of who you are long before she processes the words coming out of your mouth. That's why the line only works when it comes from a man who genuinely embodies calm intention. A man who isn't trying to manipulate her, impress her, or rush her. A man who isn't speaking from emptiness. If you tell a woman, "I like your energy, but I'm not in a rush," while secretly hoping it makes her like you, she will feel the performance. Your mouth may be saying one thing, but your energy will betray the truth. And women respond to energy, not scripts. But when you speak it from a place of genuine emotional stability, something profound happens. She senses a man who doesn't need attention to feel valuable, a man who doesn't need constant reassurance, a man who can stand in the presence of a beautiful woman and still remain centered. And that is the rarest thing for a woman to experience: a man who is fully present but never dependent. And here's the truth that will change your perspective on attraction forever. Women don't fall for men who chase them. They fall for men they feel safe chasing. They fall for men whose presence awakens a desire inside them they can't rationalize. They fall for men who can look at them with interest, but never with hunger. Men who can appreciate their beauty, but aren't hypnotized by it. Men who can hold the moment without clinging to the outcome. That's why the line works. Not because it's magic, not because it's a trick, but because it shifts the emotional frame of the interaction. It puts you in the masculine seat, grounded, intentional, slow, present. And when you do that, you activate something ancient within her. The instinct to open, to soften, to become curious, to step into your world instead of pulling you into hers. But if you truly want to master this, remember one thing: attraction is never created through force. It's created through gravity. Your emotional steadiness, your presence, your ability to breathe through the moment instead of controlling it. Women aren't drawn to men who talk fast, try hard, or over-explain themselves. They're drawn to men who move like they trust the timing of their own life. Men who act like they already know they are enough. So the next time you find yourself in front of a woman you're attracted to, don't rush, don't perform, don't panic. Just breathe, look at her, feel the moment, and let the line come from your center. "I like your energy, but I'm not in a rush." And then watch what happens. Watch her eyes soften. Watch her body language shift. Watch her curiosity spark. You'll feel the moment change, not because of the words, but because of who you became when you said them. Now let me ask you something personal, something only you can answer. What's the biggest mistake you make when talking to women, and how will you change it starting today? Drop your answer in the comments, and if this video opened your eyes, make sure you like, subscribe, and share it with a friend who needs to hear this.